my scissors and my photo prints, sailing through the waves with my best friend, trading maps for pretty paper and some tape, making memories every single day.
Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Series 18 of 30 Days of Sketches. I am doing the sketch by Diana Vanderleest today for day 4. And this is a Scrapping on the Ship video, so I am documenting some photos from our trip to Costa Maya, Mexico in February while we were on our scrapbooking cruise. And I am doing a little gel printing for the very first time. I just opened this package. It's a speedball gel plate. It's 12 by 12. Interestingly, you're not supposed to use acrylic paint on it, but I'm using acrylic paint on it because that's all I had. I had no idea that it had its own, you're supposed to use acrylic ink instead of paint, which looks very similar in all the videos that I've seen. But well, all I had was paint, so that's what I am trying. I just hope it doesn't ruin the gel plate. Wasn't worried about the actual print too much because this is actually the first time I've ever done a gel print. So I had no clue how it was going to come out. I just had a little spare time in my day and thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a try and see what happens. It's just paper and paint, right? What could go wrong? So using a little, I think that's apple barrel paint in the bright yellow. The more orangey yellow is Dilution's shimmer paint. And in Pure Sunshine, in case you're wondering what the color is. And so I thought I'd go with this Starburst background. This is a really old stencil from Heidi Swap. I thought I would mimic the kind of starburst that's in the background of the sketch. I've already marked out on my paper where my photos are going to go. So hopefully when I pick up this print, I will print it'll, I don't know. Hopefully it'll just work. I really had no idea what was going to happen, you guys. This blue is, I believe it's called nautical blue, I think. And I think it's also an apple barrel. So that's pretty much what I have, is either deco, the deco ones, or the apple barrel. I have a few off-brand ones as well, but that's usually what I use. And my 4-inch brayer was packed for a crop, so I'm just using a little tiny 2-inch one, which was a little bit of a challenge on this really large surface, which is a 12 by 12 surface. I left it attached to the Mylar sheet that it comes on. It comes sandwiched between two like plasticky sheets, and it's still sitting on there, so that's why it's kind of like moving around on my glass mat. Otherwise it wouldn't move at all. But I really wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing. So I've watched several videos on it, and that's about as far as I've gotten. So now I've pulled out this awesome stencil from Sandy, which kind of reminds me of the Aztec ruins, which is what we were going to go, not Aztec, the Mayan ruins, which is what we were going to see while we were in Costa Maya. So I thought I would use that also. Again, not sure what the result was gonna be, but I'm just trying to get a really good coat on here, and we're gonna see what happens. I do take some time in between all of the layers because you're supposed to kind of let it dry a little bit. But I take a little bit of time in between to go wash my stencils because I don't want my stencils covered in paint. And I also did not think to bring a pan of water to soak them in. So I am going back over it with more of the blue, and I noticed when I did the stencil, it did pull up some of the yellow as well. So this is going to be a complete surprise as to what happens here. You're supposed to also let it sit here and dry. But I think it's probably a good thing I didn't let it dry completely because from the videos I've watched, it's really hard to pull the image off of the speedball gel plate if you use acrylic ink. So I was kind of glad I didn't, and my image is very distressed looking, which I'm totally okay with. Again, I don't know if the video that you're going to see has it kind of zooming in very slowly. I filmed 3 videos back to back pretty much and did not realize that it's kind of doing this weird zoomy thing. So I apologize for that. So now I'm going to go in and do some stitching. I am using my centering ruler. This has just been in my, I use it all the time, you guys. It's called the See-Through Ruler Company. It's a centering ruler, and I'm looking at the ruler to see what else it says on it. It's made in the USA. It's DejaViews.com. I got it on Amazon. I will try to link it down below if it is still available. But it does have some little holes in it, and you can see I put my little yellow stitching pokey tool to kind of hold it, so I could kind of do a radius, I guess. I don't know. From the center, I can just move it over a little bit and poke the other holes. Now, I did not do stitching like little stitches. I did these huge stitches, which I think is kind of what it's intended in the actual layout. And I've seen a lot of people doing layouts like this more recently. Now, I don't know that if they're using this sketch as inspiration or not, because they were all very released a lot earlier, like before June. So I don't know if they just were releasing them early, or if this is kind of a thing or what. But I went with way more stitches. I am on a Zoom call or talking to somebody while I am doing the stitching. Oh, I'm sitting across from a friend of mine. So anyway, yeah, just doing a bunch of stitching, and it goes super fast because, like I said, these are not long stitches, but I didn't want any of the little stitches to end in the exact same spot. So that's why I am kind of mixing it up a little bit with which kind of holes I pick. And then I'm also doing 2 holes down towards the center, so that when I go back through it, I don't have to like use a lot of my product, my string, to go all the way to the top on the reverse side. I just kind of poke it back through another hole that's way down covered by the photos to go back up. So you're really only getting the stitches, the long stitches on the front side of the paper. Hopefully that makes some sense. When I get to the end of a long stitch that's kind of at the border of the paper, I just poke it back through the next long stitch and bring it back towards the center, rather than going back to the center and doing these big loops. I did pull out a bunch of ephemera from the 49 and Market Sunburst collection. I thought that would just be perfect for this layout, because these photos have like the perfect colors for this collection. I wasn't really 100% sure that I was going to use this background, because like I said, I had no clue how it was going to turn out, but I actually don't mind it. I kind of like it with the stitching added. I don't know. I think maybe I would choose a different yellow next time, one that is a little bit more opaque, because when the blue kind of peeks through behind the yellow, it kind of leans towards green a little bit. But I think the yellow stitching on the top really helped with that. So while I pull out a bunch of ephemera, I will remind you there are a bunch of people playing along with Series 18 of 30 Days of Sketches. I can't believe this is the 18th time that Christy has put this together for us. So thank you, Christy, for doing that. And I don't know, I really like the way that we now just do sketches that are exclusive, and they are designed for this project. And so on that note, thank you, Diana, for creating the sketch that we are using today. I don't know if I have a social media link for Diana, but if I do, I will put it down below for you in case you want to go and check her out. I don't know if she's got a YouTube or an Instagram. I didn't think to look at that before I started voicing this video, but if I can find the link, I will go ahead and put it below for you. Okay, so I'm just kind of playing around with what I want to put on this page. I do know it needs a little greenery, so I think the pineapple does a good job of bringing in some greenery. Not that there's any pineapple in the photograph, but it brings in yellow and green, and I like that. And bringing in that little sun chipboard piece and a little bit of area to write. The photos are of me and MK with Lisa over at my scrapbook table and her husband. It was awesome and so much fun to meet them. I really, really enjoyed the time that we spent together. And then the bottom photo is me and MK with our friend Anne, who we've met for the first time on board. We've talked to her many times, or had her in classes with us many times online. But meeting her in person was a real treat, so that was super exciting. And then also my friends Lynn and Janie, who I've spent decades scrapbooking with. So yeah, we had a really good time, and we really, really enjoyed the excursion and going to check out Costa Maya. So I'll have more photos of that later. But this was, right when you get off the ship and you walk in from the ship into the port. So you're no longer on the docks, but you're actually in port. And I don't know, it's got that big Costa Maya sign, and I thought it was really cool. And so I thought I would just play off of those blue and yellow colors, and I think it actually all came out really good and works very well together. I definitely know I need a lot more practice at this gel print technique stuff. I don't know if I'll do it a lot for scrapbooking, but I purposefully bought a 12 by 12 size gel press or gel plate just in case I wanted to use it for scrapbooking, because I thought there was no sense in buying it in a smaller size when I don't do a lot of paper crafting that is much smaller than this. Like I would be able to use it like maybe on smaller pages, but I wanted the option of using it on a full size. Okay, anyway, I am just going to trim a little bit off of the outer edges of the page, and that is going to allow me to back the whole thing on black, which I really like because it's going to hide all of the stitching in the background, or in the back of the page, which you're not going to see anyway, but when you slide it in and out of the page protector, it really just does protect it a lot. But I also inked up all of my ephemera with Black Soot Distress ink, and I think it just gives it a really nice border, especially since I did map my photos with black as well. So I think it's just playing really nicely with that. And if you know me, if I'm using white paper, I am probably going to have a border of some color around the entire sheet, because that's just how I roll. Either that, or there's going to be some sketchy lines or some stitching or something. Last but not least, I'm going to add one more little starfish here. I've got a blue one and now a little white one down in this corner. I felt like it needed something else. And then I used a little bit more of the thread that I used for the stitching to top off the tag. And I didn't end up using any buttons. I pulled them out, didn't like them, and just kept moving on from there. That is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those down below. Don't forget to go check out what MK is doing over on her channel today. And don't forget to check out the playlist for 30 days of sketches. All the links are down below. If you have, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe and hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.